But before we get to that welterweight bout, a look ahead to event set for 2 weeks from now in Las Vegas, the pay-per-view heavyweight championship battle between Evander Holyfield and Michael Moorer.
And once again, heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Holyfield.
The winner by knockout victory, Michael Moorer.
In 2 weeks, Evander Holyfield puts his WBA and IBF heavyweight titles on the line. The champion, as always, is consumed by the will to win. The challenger, Michael Moorer, has the power to destroy. On April 22, they collide. It's a badly overused cliche, but styles do make fights, and this one has the potential to be great. Both men are gifted athletes who enjoy toe-to-toe combat, punchers who get hit often and come back with a vengeance.
This is a fight between two men that you consider to be the strongest men in the world and the people who are the paragons of strength and athleticism.
But championships are not always won by the strongest man. As much as physical readiness, mental toughness is the key step up to that plateau. It's a step both fighters are determined to make.
It's the little things that really make a fight a little better. You know, I've been boxing now for, 23 years, and now it's not so much how hard I fight, it's how smart I fight.
People say power, but I don't think power plays anything in it. I think it's knowing that I want it and I want to do it.
Michael Moorer has for years been a Holyfield admirer, but it wasn't until after Evander's rematch with Riddick Bowe that the public began to fully appreciate the champion's great heart. Stuns Bowe again!
Here was Evander giving 140% of himself, and all of a sudden you came to understand what this man was all about. And he was all about laying it all on the line and being himself and digging down deep and every other cliche that sports writers write.
It is precisely what we expect from Holyfield again, and what he may need against perhaps the heavyweight division's hardest and most powerful puncher.
It's not so much what he can do, it's the confidence that he has in himself that will pose a problem. So the whole thing is that I don't expect no one to be ranked #1, to fight for a championship and not having the confidence.
Beyond self-confidence, Michael Moorer poses another problem for Evander Holyfield. He fights southpaw, and it's been 8 years since Evander went up against a left-hander.
There's very few southpaws around in the heavyweight division, and therefore it's difficult for guys to prepare for them because there's few guys to spar with.
In boxing, a southpaw, particularly in Michael's case, being he's such a big puncher, you have to move a lot, and whenever you see Michael getting ready to punch, in this case, you need to move to your right, which means moving away from the southpaw's left hand.
And as differently as they fight, their training regimens are equally dissimilar. Working with Teddy Atlas, Michael Moorer trains like the boxers of old, using basic, tried and true, but still effective training techniques. For Evander, the firing of Emmanuel Stewart and the addition of new trainer Don Turner has done nothing to change his post-modern workout. Coaches for bodybuilding and stretching, coupled with the use of some high-tech equipment.
I know Teddy has me training and working out hard, so I'm not really worried about the high-tech things that he has, and the weights and things like that doesn't bother me.
This is a formidable contender. I mean, I can already tell you, without having heard the bell for round 1, this fight is in contention for Fight of the Year, knowing both styles.
So the heavyweight championship drumbeat continues. Two warriors, unrestrained. Two fighters who have built themselves into heavyweight stardom by doing what both will hope to do on April 22. To win convincingly. What Michael Moorer does with heavy-handed punching power, Evander Holyfield hopes to do with savvy and determination.
Evander's going to be more of the flashier, busier type fighter, but he's going to have to always be aware of the big bombs that Michael has and that can knock him out at any point in time.
So don't miss the explosions in the ring on the night of April 22. the undefeated southpaw and bad boy Michael Moorer, determined to capture the title and a place in history. And the champion, Evander Holyfield, looking to win this bout and inch his way a little closer toward unifying the title. Again, the pay-per-view bout scheduled for the evening of Friday, April 22 in Las Vegas. It's our privilege to be joined now by both champion and challenger from their respective training camps. First, the champion, Evander Holyfield, live from Houston, Texas, and the challenger, Michael Moorer, joining us live from his camp in Palm Springs, California. Evander, I'll begin with you. Last November, in only your second fight with trainer Emanuel Steward, you produced what many believe is the defining performance of your career. Now, surprisingly to most of us, Steward is gone. Why?
Well, it came down to a business decision. He chose to not fight for the money I offered him, so he decided to move on.
So Steward goes away, and you have trainer Don Turner, but with him also goes cutman Ace Murata. Now, many will remember that when you were head-butted and had a terrible cut against Larry Holmes, Murata did an effective job of stopping the bleeding, helping you to finish that 12-round bout and score a victory. Why did Ace have to go too?
Well, it wasn't a point of Ace with the team, because Ace with Lou and George. We didn't have a cut man for the
second bow fight.
We didn't have a cut man for the second bow fight, and Ace Murata said he would do it. And when I picked up Don Turner just happened to be a cut man too. So Don Turner said he could do both.
All right. All right, Evander, so now you get ready to work with the third trainer of your career. I'll turn to Michael Moorer, because, Michael, you've changed trainers a couple of times, and you worked with Emanuel Steward at the beginning of your professional career. What, in your view, might Evander lose with Steward gone from his camp?
I don't think he would really lose anything. I don't think it's the trainers that make the fight. I think it's the fighter who makes themselves.
And there's been a rumor that you've had difficulty once again with your trainer, this time the third man to have handled you, Teddy Atlas. Who's the boss in your camp?
Teddy's the boss. We're both each other's boss. There's no problem circulating in my camp about Teddy and I having problems.
All right, I'll go back to Evander Holyfield. Evander, you're the veteran now of heavyweight championship fights. Michael Moorer gets ready for his first challenge for the heavyweight title. In your view, is there going to be a big adjustment for Michael stepping up to the kind of occasion this is, the media demands, the public demands?
Well, I think it'll be equal for both. And one way, I think if we all take things in a positive route, that, you know, he'd be geared. There's this opportunity to make history, being the first left-hander. And on my behalf, I got to go out and work hard and prove a point again that I'm still the champion. I still have what it takes to be the champion.
Do you fear any kind of emotional letdown coming off that great performance against Riddick Bowe last November?
But not at all. I truly believe that I know that I'm fighting a dangerous opponent. He's very good. He's ranked #1, and I got to go out and be at my best.
Michael Moorer, there are some experts who believe that because Evander is such a warrior, because if there's a weakness in his armor, it's his willingness or his ability to defend himself, that he is in some ways a tailor-made opponent for you. Do you believe that too?
I couldn't really answer that, to be honest. I would have to fight him and find out. A lot of people prejudge people from past performances and things like that. But the way I look at it, you have to really sit there and fight the guy.
The book on you going into this is that your big chance is going to come as the result of your punching power. Do you believe you have a punching power advantage?
There's a lot of people who say that. I think I have a punching power, but I also have the ability to win.
Evander, there are very few southpaws in the heavyweight division. As far as I can tell, it's been 8 years since you've been in the ring with a southpaw. How difficult was it to find southpaw sparring partners to get you ready for Michael?
Well, it was a lot easier for Don Turner. I don't usually pick the sparring partner anyway. I have 2 sparring partners, and they're very good. They're fast-handed, and I have one that heavy-handed, pretty much like Michael Moorer. And so I'm working with them and trying to change to be able to at least look at the style of the fighter. But I truly believe, because Michael Moorer is a warrior, that we won't have to look for each other. We just both be there.
All right, gentlemen, thank you both very much for your time. Michael Moorer, we're going to let you go, and once again, I appreciate you being with us. Evander, if you'll stick around, we'll be talking to you a little bit later about your good friend Pernell Whitaker. Okay, so both the heavyweight champion and the challenger go their way for the moment. We turn back to HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant, 2 weeks away from another heavyweight championship fight. What do you think?
Well, distilled to its essence, in my view, we have a heavyweight champion who is a veteran, a great warrior, coming off perhaps the most emotional fight of his career. He's done just about everything there is to be done as a heavyweight champion, including amassing a great fortune. And he's going up against a younger, unbeaten, presumably hungrier challenger, who's also trying to become the first left-hander to win the heavyweight championship and is a good puncher. This, to me, are the ingredients for a potential upset. And if not, as Evander Holyfield just said, they won't have to look for each other, and you won't have to look for them either. They're going to be right there in what figures to be a tremendously dramatic, action-packed fight.
Well said, and I think that's the conventional wisdom in the sport with regard to this fight, that it ought to be a thriller. Larry suggests that there's a lot of danger here for Evander. You agree?
You know, ordinarily I would say so, but Evander has painted himself into a corner again. He's an underdog. He doesn't have a trainer. He doesn't have managers. This guy he's got to fight himself out of this corner. He's an underdog. He can do it now.
So in doing things like firing Stewart that a lot of us might think are dangerous for him, you believe he's given himself new incentive.
That's right. He's lost a lot of sleep over not being properly ready, and that's enough to make a champion get out there and fight like a challenger.
I can hardly wait for Friday, April 22, but first, the business of these two welterweight fights.